Today we remember 9/11. It happened 24 years ago. Like many of us, it shocked us, scared some, and caused us to have moments of reflection. There's a lot of videos out there of where were you, where was I, those kinds of things. Um, and this is kind of my reflection on those years ago. I was off work. My wife called from the kitchen and said that the local PBS station was reporting that an airplane flew into the World Trade Center. Like most, I felt that the crash had to be some sort of accident, some sort of small plane. But as the news report went on, we decided to turn on TV. We were watching the Today Show, and they seem to be the ones talking about it the most. So that's why we settled on the Today Show. And as we were watching the video coverage, we witnessed the horror of the second plane crashing into the World Trade Center. This event struck me as heinous, but it also struck me as tragic. And as a retired firefighter EMT, when I witnessed the buildings collapse, I knew that a lot of my brethren had passed. There was almost 100% certainty of that in my mind. The event still brings up a lot of emotion for me when I talk about it. It still brings up a lot of feelings of wishing I was a little bit younger. Because as a nurse, I was like, oh, great, I could go into the Army and help out with this effort. And then, I looked at the age range and went, oops, not quite. I'm a little too old. My hospital that I worked at was a level 1 trauma center on the East Coast. And some of my colleagues at that hospital talked about how the trauma center was put on alert because of the nationwide trauma system. Some of them were taken by ambulance to East Rutherford, New Jersey. They were stationed at Giant Stadium. And this horror to them as they came back, the feelings of sadness from the horror. A couple of our trauma surgeons were actually in New York for a trauma conference, and they went down to see what they could do to help out. And unfortunately, there was nothing they could do. I remember those events like yesterday. For my generation, it's probably the equivalent of Pearl Harbor for my grandparents. Probably for my parents as well, even though they would have been very young at the time. And there's videos that circulate on YouTube about, the children of those lost firefighters, those children of the lost police, the children of the employees who worked in the two towers, now celebrating significant life events, marriages, birth of children, things like that, at this time. And 10 years ago, some of those videos were of them graduating high school, and they didn't have their parents there or one of their parents there during those events. So let's take time to pause and reflect and pray for the families still these many years later. Because I think this is something that, it's going to be passed down to generation. It's going to be an example of generational trauma, especially to those who are directly involved. And it lives with some of us who were indirectly involved. So take your time, hug your family members, tell them you love them before it's too late. And remember those who died on this day 24 years ago.